Hi, I'm Kristen. Welcome to Trigger Your Truth. Um, Been a kind of crazy 2 weeks for me. So I apologize that I haven't gotten any other videos up, but I would like to um, say that I have something very exciting to share with you today. And I am so grateful that you guys are tuning in and are here with me. As you know, and as I've shared in my previous videos, I've shared a lot of those stories, my emotions, and, ultimately, there was a point about 4 or 5 years ago where I just really kind of hit rock bottom, and I just knew that something had to change. And as I mentioned, I, started getting curious and explored different tools to help me on this journey. And one of my favorite tools is with me. And this is Katie with Guided Spirit, correct?
That would be my business
Okay.
name. Yep,
Yeah,
Guided Spirit.
Guided Spirit.
Yep.
And I have to say, she really resonated for me and truly helped me to trigger my truth, to not be afraid, and to start to explore intuitive healing, um, my behaviors, my reactions that were not authentic. Um, just a real huge piece of my
Thank you.
story and my healing journey.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited to share you here on video with you guys. So you want to introduce yourself? And
Yes, I
yeah,
know. Well, thank you for
yeah,
inviting me to talk about
yeah.
just inner work and healing and our own personal journeys of how we're all kind of, working on ourselves and
Right.
trying to make our way through very complicated and challenging experiences. We're both working moms.
Right.
So we both, know the challenges of marriage and partnership and trying to
Hmm.
have a career, trying to raise children in, challenging circumstances and, um, and also be our best selves and find a level of satisfaction and meaning and purpose and just peace and happiness. And I think it's a really challenging journey. So,
It is, and
yeah.
you were a key piece of my healing and helping me find
Yes.
that peace,
Mhm.
and I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to have been referred to you by a
Yeah.
friend,
Yes. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
start my journey and my healing.
Yes. Well, so, and, most people find me because they have tried a lot of other things and it really hasn't gotten them the results, or it hasn't really helped them figure out um, the patterning or the programming, or why can I not change this, or why can I not heal this, or why can't I get over this. And so a lot of people have tried, traditional like counseling, which I have too, and I value it. And I'm, was a
Right.
psych major and I was a social worker, so I appreciate and value that path. But I think that it serves its purpose, but it also, like every practice, it it has sort of its limits, where maybe you know so what I wanted to do just in my own growth was, get beyond kind of where traditional psychology got me. And I wanted to really be able to figure out how to find, uh, have more control over my own happiness and not be so susceptible to, well, this happened and that person and that, drama and this, and feel like life was just,
Right.
hitting me upside the head with every turn. And so I found other practices and this is of course decades ago, and primarily yoga and meditation and breath work. And so for me, those practices, when I started doing those regularly, what I found was one, I was working as a social worker at the time. One, I was able to handle the stress of working with teenagers who were in the custody of the state. So very traumatized kids.
Right.
And I found that being with them was not as, I mean, I wasn't as exhausted and I wasn't as frayed and fried and, you know, just really worked over by the dynamics of my work
Right.
when I was doing things like meditating, when I was getting fresh air, when I was, taking time for self-care. And so through those practices, what I found was that I started to know things about people, like, oh, that person's shoulder hurts, or boy, they're really struggling with a loss, or wow, I can just feel this is really off in them. And this was primarily like in a yoga class. And I didn't have really like a context to understand all that until I found my first teacher, who
Oh,
was a Hawaiian shaman. And so I found, they're referred to as kahunas. And so I began taking classes with her. And that gave me the context to understand kind of what I was experiencing, which, you know, um, is what I would call my intuitive
right.
abilities, which I think that we all have, we're all born with.
Right.
It's really our natural state of communicating and understanding the world. But because of the culture and the time that we're raised, those intuitive knowings are usually um, not reinforced.
Right.
So, how that looks is when your 3 year old knows something that they shouldn't know, that you don't want them to know, and you say, no, that's not true, or I didn't say that, or what
Right.
you're doing is you're shutting down their intuitive knowing. And so this is,
Guilty.
well, right, like,
Guilty.
right.
Yeah.
And I will say, as a mother, like, I actually did know better than to do that to my own son, but it was so hard. It was so hard to navigate because he would say, why are you not happy? And it's like, okay, I'm going to have to say, I'm really struggling. Mommy's feelings are really hurt about something that somebody else said, and I'm working on it. So instead of saying, oh, I'm fine, because what that would have done is just
Shut it
it would
down.
have shut down
Yep.
his inner knowing. Um, so anyway, that what was happening through all of these practices is that these very natural skills were starting to come online. And thank goodness I found a teacher who could help me understand them better and then ultimately learn to work with them.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
so, then eventually I moved back to Kansas City and I still kept teaching yoga. And, um, then, well, frankly, what happened was my mom died. And I was like, well, I guess life is short. Like, you never know when your time is up. So if this is really the work that I feel called to do, then clock's a ticking and
Right.
it's time to get to it. And I can't, because I didn't want to be the weird mom. And I
Right.
mean, I'm in
Right.
suburban Kansas and it's like, great, I'm going to have the kid that nobody's, allowed to come play with because,
Right.
she speaks to dead people, or she, is, doing the devil's work, or whatever,
Right.
whatever is out there that could happen. And then I just decided that um, my son chose me, so he knew what he was getting into. So, you know, times of, you know,
And
short.
how long have you been practicing now?
So I guess it's about 17 years
Wow. Okay.
now. And I, am trained in a few different types of energy healing. And I do consider my primary work is as an energy healer, because what happens is when we aren't living sort of in accordance to our highest path or our greatest capacity,
Right.
what it does is it shuts down our energy field.
Yeah.
And then we um, experience disruption or imbalance, either mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, or all of the above.
All of
It
the
manifests in the full package. And we just feel like, I feel off. I don't know myself. I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what my purpose is. I'm angry all the time. I don't know I can't get over this. And it keeps us stuck and trapped.
Right.
And that's stuck and trapped means our life force is not flowing. Because when our life force is flowing and vibrant and high, we are flowing. And
Yeah.
like our life is flowing. And it's like, oh, this person came into my life, or this opportunity came into my life, or this, circumstance came into my life that is really amazing and really like, something that I love and something I really enjoy. But if we are shut down, or if we have life force that is locked up or blocked in certain areas of our body or in our expanded energy field, then we are blocked and shut down, and we don't have access. Like, we can't create, we can't manifest, because we literally don't have the energetic funding.
Right. I know when I knocked on your door that first day, I was just, I say rock bottom.
You
And
were beat up. Yeah.
I was beat up. Yeah.
You felt beat up.
I couldn't get out of my head. I felt it in my mind, my body, my spirit. My career kind of came to a crashing halt.
Yeah.
It was just, I knew I needed help, and I really didn't know really where to go from there. I just knew I was stuck.
Yes.
And I think what helped me, because I, tried the psychologists and the medicines and all that too, was, I think the difference with you was, well, you were referred to me as Psychic Katie, so I was like, well, let's just go get it.
Gotta go see what that's all
about. Let's go see if she's gonna talk to, my dad and everybody, which you did. But it became so much more for me, and really just planted seeds through our sessions of, by you asking questions and intuitively, feeling my energy and where I was stuck, and offering me, those seeds to go work on that. It was just, it ended up being huge for me.
Yeah. Well, I like that you said seeds for me to work on, because that really is important to understand that it's not like you're going to go see a healer or a psychic and they're going to fix you.
Right.
And so we really shouldn't, I don't know that really that's a healthy way to move into any practice. Like, I need you to fix me. It's like, I need you to make me happy.
Right.
It's just, it's not a safe bet. No. It is not a safe bet.
No, there was a lot of work that I had to do.
Right, exactly. So and that's what I tell everybody, that I work with, is like, the more that you're willing to invest in yourself and put to practice what we talk about and the suggestions that come through,
right,
then the more you are enabling yourself to really make some powerful and big transformations. So much of how people experience my work is not so much about me,
right,
but is about how much are you willing to take the time and the energy and put discipline into spending time with yourself and doing some really challenging things and kind of excavating, going through the garbage.
Yeah. And it was going through some garbage. You
gotta go through you gotta take out the garbage.
You gotta take out the garbage, and you gotta, be truthful about the garbage.
Yes, it's very humbling.
Yeah, it is humbling, and it's very easy to share your version of the story in your head so that
Uh-huh.
you mask really
Yeah. I'm going to create a
what's in
version
there.
that's going to
Yeah.
justify all of my anger and all of my bad
Right.
behavior and all of my judgment and all of this, but I'm justified in it. I'm
Right.
not happy. I have no peace, but I am righteous.
Right.
I am
Right.
justified in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was huge for me, and I think what was so important was, of course, I expected you to heal me out of the gate, kind of, with that first knock on the door. But then you
uh,
start to realize that, this isn't a race. It's not a finish line. It's a journey. It's going to continue forever.
yeah.
Um, but you just gave me a safe space where I felt like um, I could allow myself to be vulnerable, which was something I wasn't good at, nor was I good at communicating, and gave me the strength to be able to, go within myself and ask myself some hard questions
Mhm.
and see some truths that
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that
Yeah.
was not very nice of me. Um,
Mhm.
and then ultimately forgive myself,
Right.
you know.
Right. Well, I think that one, um, it's to really be able to hold a space of like safety and non-judgment. It's because I've eaten the humble pie
Yeah,
and because I've looked at all the, all in me that, wasn't, we're all kind of figuring out who do I want to be in the world and how am I showing up? Who am
right,
I in actuality? And how far apart are these, or
right.
how in line with my vision and my version of my greater self. And I mean, I think that's what we're all really here to do, is
Yeah.
figure out what is the highest expression of who I am and what I'm capable of, and how freaking far off am I from
Right?
that expression. And sometimes we're way off, and sometimes we're like,
Yeah.
like harmonizing, and we're jamming, and we're
Vibing
bringing
high.
we're vibing high. Uh-huh.
Well, it's funny. It's like once I, went through this period, which, wasn't always easy and definitely was over time. It wasn't
Yes.
like, you know, 6 months later, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm fixed.
I'm fixed and vibing high and ready to go.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still learning quite a bit about myself. But
Yeah.
um, I think what all of a sudden I've been shown is, you know, people come to me and they're like, well, how did you do that? Or
Yeah.
you seem different,
Mm-hmm.
or I wish I could feel better, or they ask a question. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I've just been shown that there's, there's a lot of people looking to start their journey
Mm-hmm.
and ignite this
Definitely.
healing.
Definitely.
Um, so what would you say to them? What would you advise them to do right now?
Well, I think uh, one I would say probably the most important advice that um, I would offer is that when you decide that you want to work on yourself and you decide that you're ready to sort of examine who am I, and commit some time and energy into practices to
Right.
kind of do some inner work and healing work, is that one, I would one look at the work as sacred, because you are a sacred being. And I think that a lot of times we come to ourselves begrudgingly, like, I feel I'm my life is fucked up. I've ruined this relationship. I've been horrible as a parent, and we come in with all this guilt, or we have a lot of anger and frustration with other people, and we're mad at like, why can't I just get over it? Why can't I be better? And we come to ourselves, and we approach ourselves, and our relationship with ourselves is impatient, intolerant, frustrated. So we're starting off in a really low vibration.
Yep.
And I want to say that it's hard to make really positive progress with anything if you're starting from garbage energy. So do
It's
not approach you as, oh, this is such
right.
a burden that I have to meditate or fix myself or work with myself. I think it's, this is, life is, if I have, first of all, if all of my basic needs are met and I'm not starving, I don't have 5 children and I'm a single mother, if, Maslow's, you know, hierarchy of needs, if all of my basic needs are met and I have the time and the energy and frankly the luxury to do some reflecting and discover how God is expressing through me, that's a gift. And you are a gift and you are essential to life. So approach yourself as you would if you were, you know, going to a sacred site or a holy site, or you were going to Sedona and you knew that the energy was really powerful. You would be like, ooh,
Right.
I'm here to discover. I want to
Yeah.
feel all the beauty and the magnificence. You are Sedona. You are Mount Everest. You are the ocean. Like you are that beauty and magnificence. It's just buried under a lot of bad teaching and bad education and confusion. So I think all inner work, if you can, like just start treating yourself better.
I love that.
So start approaching yourself with, hey, how are you? Glad you're here.
Right.
Let's sit and and then when you have, okay, so how do I do inner work? Examining your thoughts, like
Right.
do some journaling. And the form of journaling that I love is, I call it free flow journaling. It's not edited. So you let everything, every nonsensical, every tedious, every little thing come through. And the reason this is so valuable is because we have a part of our mind that is always judging and editing ourselves. Why would you think that? That's silly. Don't, that's not nice. Da, da, da,
Right.
like da, 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 about what we should and what we
Right.
shouldn't. You should say this. You shouldn't say this. How would you say it that way? Blah, 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 blah. So to shut that part of our brain down, what we tell ourselves, what we do is we activate the part of ourselves that has no judgment about anything we think or say.
Right.
And yes, we do have that part of, yes, yes, we all do have that part of ourselves. It's just so, we have deactivated it and we have let this inner critic run the freaking show.
Right.
So when you do this type of journaling where you're going to be like, whatever comes out, comes out. And I am in full acceptance of whatever comes out. And so what you find is like your real thoughts and your real feelings are going to surface once you give them permission to surface. I don't really like this person. Actually, why am I even spending time with this person? It turns out this person, I think they're rude. I think they're offensive. I think blah, blah, blah. Like
Right.
they don't make me feel good. They want to talk about themselves all the time and they don't care about me. They just want to complain about blah, blah, blah. And I happen to be where they want to dump it. It's like,
Right.
what? And I've
Yeah.
been going to lunch with them every month. And
Oh
it's like,
yeah. From the
yes,
person that couldn't say no for a while.
exactly. So then it's like, okay, this is how I really think, and this is really how I really feel. And then the next practice is get curious. Why do I feel obligated to spend time with that person, even if it's your own mother?
Right.
Why do I feel? Because your time, how you use your thoughts and your life and your time, how do you invest your time? Those are the seeds for your tomorrow. So you are an active co-creator in your life.
Right.
So when you are spending time doing things you don't enjoy, with people you don't enjoy, you are planting seeds for more experiences and people you do not enjoy. And then you're like, why do I not hate this job? And why do I not have any friends I really like?
Right.
Well, because look where you're investing all your time and your energy. Where are you planting your seeds?
Yep.
So a great process again is to let yourself express. So journaling is a great way. I mean, that's just my go-to for me.
Right.
Or I will go for really long walks and I will let my consciousness flow. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm feeling. And then I get really curious. Why do I feel that way? What do I want to do? Is that my truth? Is that true for me? Meaning, okay, let's say, you have somebody that you're spending time with that you feel like you feel an obligation to spend time with, that you don't really
Right.
enjoy them. So the question is, why? Why do I feel obligated? Well, I'm a bad daughter if I don't. Because, what are those rules?
Right.
What does it take to be a good daughter? Am I willing to pay that price? What is it costing me? And this is my favorite question. What is it costing me to blah, blah, blah?
Right.
What is it? Or how am I being gifted? How am I being blessed? So is it a cost, or
Right.
is it, is there a blessing? Is there a gift? Is there you know, so I look at how I spend, we all have to, well, I wouldn't say all of us, but most of us have to do things we don't enjoy.
Right.
But here's the thing, is that a lot of it's also just your own internal world. So if you don't work on your own, like, where are you complaining? Where are you ungrateful? Where are you, putting a lot of garbage out in the world?
And that was a big one for me was I almost had to like, in order to be able to quiet my mind so that, you know, the emotions could flow and I could
Mhm,
start to get curious and, widen my lens about myself. And
mhm.
I felt like I had to kind of like rewire my brain and teach myself how to be quiet enough to
Most of us do.
even hear it.
Right. Most
So,
of us do.
journaling, I didn't really start until later, which I now love.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, the key was to quiet that noise, which was the walks in the morning with
Hmm.
my dog and no phones and,
Yeah.
you know, keep the radio off in the car
Hmm.
and just kind of make sure I was, always reminding myself to stay present, which is where my crystals come in so that,
Right. Those are very
you
helpful.
know,
Yes.
reminds me to just be right here,
Hmm.
right now kind of thing.
Hmm.
And
Well, mindfulness is an incredibly valuable practice, and that's really about staying in the moment and not letting our thoughts go to past or
right,
future, and just being very present to what we're doing. I'm feeling, I feel myself sitting on the couch. I can, I feel the clothing on my skin. I'm, in my own body, and I'm in the present moment. And that in and of itself is an incredible practice. And that's really what yoga taught me. And that's why,
right.
30 years ago when I was doing yoga, 2 hours a day, every day, I got really good at being present, which I had not been. I was, all over the place.
So did your intuition and being able to, feel others and connect with them grow with as you became more mindful and present?
Well, yes, it did. But I would also say what happened was I was able to then learn, because I think that I had strong intuition before doing yoga. I just thought it was all me. Like,
Okay.
oh, I'm feeling this way. It's me.
Right.
It's like, oh no, I'm in the company of somebody who is feeling that way. And then it's hitting my system, and I can distinguish their energy from my energy
Uh-huh.
now, where
Okay.
I did not have that awareness. But frankly, I didn't have the presence of mind, and I wasn't embodied enough to know what is mine versus what am I feeling, sensing, perceiving from the world or my environment or the collective consciousness. So yoga for me, and there's a lot of practices, it could be going for walks. But again, if you're listening to music or podcasts,
Right.
you're just
Right.
you're just staying in the mind.
Yeah, I say cut the
Like
noise. No phone, no
it's
music. Yeah.
yeah. So being present to yourself. So mindfulness, breath work is great. Um, really good yoga teachers will always teach breath work with yoga. If you're taking yoga and they're not talking about breath work, they're not talking about being present to your body, they're not talking about feeling, the different muscles and the different sensations, you're probably not getting the most out of it that you can.
Okay.
Um, there's Tai Chi, there's Qigong, there's,
I've tried none of those.
all
I need to
fantastic.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all fantastic. So
Yeah.
they're based in Asian cultures where, they have traditions, Buddhism and Taoism, that are thousands of years old that martial artists
Right.
practice in. So all the samurai and the martial artists who had incredible endurance, incredible energy, incredible skills, practiced energy enhancement techniques, and that's where they got their power from.
Oh, love that.
So that's how they could break concrete blocks,
Right.
not because of muscular strength, but because of energetic force.
So if you were helping somebody new today and or wanted to give advice to somebody out there listening right now that you know is looking for something,
Mhm.
so they're here with us today. Um, is there any like behaviors or feelings or nudges or emotions that they should be, maybe paying more attention to so that they could start their journey and their path for
Well,
healing?
I think that a lot of people struggle with unhappiness. And so, what I would say is to everybody is it's just important to listen to yourself and be honest. The honesty,
Right,
I mean, it's really an essential ingredient in any sort of healing work or one's ability to find any real meaningful happiness. Is that if you're going to pretend that you don't hate your job and you hate your job and you're not going to quit, you're just your progress towards happiness is going to be a much harder. I'm not saying it's not possible. I
right,
mean, Gandhi found happiness when he was in prison. So I'm not saying your circumstances have to determine it, but if you're spending 60, 70, 80 hours a week doing something that sucks the soul out of you and
right,
you're trying to pretend it doesn't, that's going to make any sort of well being, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, a lot harder and a lot slower. So, one practice is you don't have to quit, but don't lie to yourself and say, this is fine.
right,
It's fine. It's fine. That's it's say, I'm really struggling with this. This is a circumstance and these are activities that I just don't enjoy and I feel trapped. Like, start by being honest with yourself. And I actually, that's one of the big things for me. So I was working as a social worker. I was convinced, in college that, I was meant to work with children. I always have loved children.
right,
And I had a deep heart for those who had really unfortunate circumstances. And I wanted to help them, you know, be somebody who cared about them and
right.
helped show them a different path and
Yeah,
and see them in a different light. And it turned out I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And I finally had to admit to myself that I thought this was my path. I thought this was what I was meant to do. And I'm really struggling. But I couldn't start to really heal or to make any progress with myself until I admitted that. And I didn't even quit right away. I just started doing other things when I wasn't working that such as I was doing yoga regularly,
right,
I was meditating, I started going on long hikes, blah blah blah. So I was finding other ways to invest my energy that were bringing me great rewards.
right,
So that was really uh, part of it. Then the other thing I would say is that if you're not going to make it's it's really a matter of discipline and commitment. And if you think that you're just going to spend 15 minutes journaling once every other week,
Right.
and you're going to make progress. I'm not saying you won't. It's just you might need 200 years,
Yeah.
you know?
I know for me that, just kind of like steamrolled. Like once I got going, it was like, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I'm like, oh, and then, you know, I, I swear the universe shut my career down for like 2 years.
It'll do
And,
it.
and,
I mean, it gives you the opportunity
and
to
it
make the
did.
changes beforehand. And then if you don't listen, it will
Yeah.
give you the environment you need.
And it gave me the environment that
Yeah.
I obviously needed.
Mm-hmm.
I gave my car to my daughter because obviously my work wasn't, I didn't need it for work. So I kind of became
Guess I'll
like,
be hanging out at the
yeah,
house.
which just did
Mm-hmm.
become like my healing space. And at first it's real easy. Oh, let's just turn on Netflix and, eat a bag of chips and drink a soda and, eat a cookie and,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not learning, you know, not tr-
I'm not feeling any
not
better.
feeling any
No,
better. I'm
not feeling any better.
feeling a little
Yeah.
worse. Um, but it did afford me that opportunity, which I'm so grateful for now. And I didn't realize that's
Amen.
what was happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to really just go,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I just started reading everything I could read and, you know, asking, you know, for you, um, and just started to try different things and then practice and then go a little deeper
Mm-hmm.
um,
And practicing can look like I'm just changing my thoughts about this.
right,
I'm working on forgiveness. I'm going to see this in a different light. I'm going to, so practicing can take a lot of different forms, but it's just the like
yeah,
ongoing everyday practicing that makes, such,
it made
it's
a
essential.
huge thing, a
Yes.
huge difference in me, and helped me to rewire my self-talk
Yes.
and my and to pay attention to my lack of confidence, lack of not treating myself
Mm-hmm.
as sacred, um, with shame or guilt or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kick in the ass, you could have done better kind of thing. I mean, it started with, I tried so many different things, just post-it notes on a mirror, and I would say the same things
Mm-hmm.
every morning um, to learning how to meditate
Mm-hmm.
and uh, breath work.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just to gratefulness, just being grateful
Mm-hmm.
for that I did have a house. I may not be
Yeah.
making any money right now,
Yeah.
maybe not have a house 2 years later, but grateful that I had a safe space, a house, a
Yes.
food,
Yeah.
a husband, a family, and
Right. Gratitude's a
uh,
powerful practice.
it
I mean,
was
I think if everybody practiced, gratitude for 10 minutes twice a day, that alone can be transformational. If you truly set aside 10 minutes and you are in sincere acknowledgement of how you have been blessed,
right.
that's powerful.
And it's funny you say it like that because, well, not funny, but true, because like I know in the beginning it was kind of like, oh, I'm grateful for today, and then you just go on and forget
But
you're grateful. Yeah, I was
there's
not.
no heart in it. Like it's like, oh yeah, thank you for my car, thank you for this, thank you that. But if you're like truly in your heart and it's like, I think a great way to practice gratitude is if you imagine everything's been taken away from you
Oh,
and you are living in, a void,
right,
or you have, absolutely nothing and no one,
right,
and how that feels versus how does it feel to be on this
right,
couch
right,
and to have
right.
another human being,
Yeah, right,
to connect with, and somebody that I can talk to that, you know, relates and shares this, appreciation, and that I have, children in my life that I can call up and we're
Right.
sharing our experience. I mean, just, uh, and then when you do it that way and you're in, because your heart, if you're not in your feelings about
Right.
it and in your heart chakra about it, because your heart chakra is powerful and it's a huge generating chakra. So if you can be in your feelings about it and really charge and activate your heart chakra, then you're a better manifester, you're a better healer, you're a better, I mean, you know, everything.
Well, and it was over time that my just that simple gratefulness, went from, saying it and walking away to I would feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And before I knew it, there was like a tear or two,
Mm-hmm.
and then your head tingles
Mm-hmm.
and so to really practice it and pull it into you and what that means for you
Yeah.
was a huge piece that gave me that opportunity to kind of just, keep going and,
Yeah.
not be afraid
Yeah.
and you know, and in hindsight with all the work, that I've done and, like I said, I'm not an expert by any means and my journey's not over, but it just it makes it easier to go back and be vulnerable with yourself and feel, those
Mm-hmm.
hard things, those hard emotions and connect your dots, whatever that is for you, so that you can forgive yourself and love yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm only human, and it happened for me, not to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, I think that's how the gratitude links in, is that when there's gratitude, what that does is it you put life in the context of how is this happening for me? And that it turns out that when you look back on your life, you can see how, again, if you're looking through the eyes of gratitude, and
right,
how was this meant to bless me? How was this meant to grow me? How was this meant to expand me? You can literally see
right,
everything as how it, in that context of how it was a blessing and how it was a gift. And I truly believe that's the reality of life, is that absolutely everything is meant to break down all of these limitations or false beliefs we have accepted or allowed,
yeah,
so we can discover how incredibly powerful and invulnerable and, tap into our brilliance. But we can't do it while
right,
we are simultaneously making ourselves victim of the world.
right,
And so gratitude is a key ingredient in fostering the perspective and the understanding and the belief that everything is here to expand me and strengthen me and open me
yeah, beautifully
and
said.
grow me.
Yeah, very beautifully
Mhm.
said. Because there's a lot for my journey, and I know you and I have discussed it too. Is
Mhm.
that there's a lot that imprints on you. That did,
Oh,
you know,
from conception,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're one big imprint.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that absolutely formed my
We are
beliefs and
downloading programs all the time,
yep,
whether they're good programs and healthy and true or not.
yep,
So, mhm.
yep. So a lot of that has to be looked at too. Um, and we can all do it.
Of course.
And yeah, we can all do it. If I could do it, we can all do it.
We're actually designed to do it.
Yeah.
We're designed to do it.
But I think you're right. I think once you could start really looking at all your experiences, even what imprinted on you and helped shape you to who you are, and to be grateful and look at it as a for you instead of to you, and stop playing the victim, and
Mhm.
it's just
And that's not to diminish or minimize the trauma and
right,
the challenges that people have endured,
right,
because and if you are in the place where you have to grieve or mourn your pain, that is appropriate and
right.
you should do that. Now, if you are going to make a lifestyle out of it, that's where it becomes debilitating and you will limit your ability to heal.
Yeah,
Um, so I would say an example of that would be, my grandmother, depression era life.
right.
Her father died when she was young, and she lost a sister who was 2 years old to,
Mm,
like an influenza. And so she had a lot of hardship and pain very early on. And I remember being a child, and she was probably one of the most unhappy people I'd ever known, and still to this day I've ever known. And, she married my grandfather and she had financial security. She never had to work. And yet there was, when you talk to her, she couldn't ever, there was nothing. It was a complain, complain, complain. And she used to talk about her childhood a lot. And this is when she was 60 years old, 70 years old, 80
right.
years old. And she's still talking about the suffering of her childhood and how her mom had to support them on a teacher's salary and blah blah blah. And that was a really, she was a teacher for me
Right.
in what that looks like, to allow your suffering to become your cage and your
Yeah.
prison, and to never be able to um, free yourself from that prison.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandmothers were teachers too.
Well, we're all teachers.
Yeah.
It's just, what are you teaching?
Yeah.
So
I had one I liked and one that
uh,
I didn't like, but
yeah, so some people are
after
teachers of happiness and
yeah.
well-being, and some people are teachers of suffering. And
But it's funny now because I look at them both with love
mhm.
and and compassion because, they had their story too, and they had their what imprinted on them, and
Well, and like you said, they're teachers. Like,
yeah,
so I learned,
yeah,
I really learned
yeah,
from, we again, everybody's teaching. It's
right,
just, what are they teaching,
right.
and how are you going to use those lessons for yourself?
So if you were to, well, you've talked a lot about what you would do,
Hmm.
what advice you would offer everyone out there. Um, you have the journaling,
Hmm.
be grateful,
Hmm.
cut out the noise, yoga,
Yoga,
meditation.
meditation, breath work,
Okay,
mindfulness, qigong, tai chi. Those are all
okay,
very grounding, meditating. And again, those aren't, I mean, those are practices that are thousands of years old,
right,
that, those who learn to walk on water and transform, you know go days without eating and sleeping, like, they're legit.
right.
It's not a fad.
And
They're
then
legit practices.
if you're local to the KC area,
I work with people all over the world.
oh, okay,
I
there you go.
Yes. So
I
energy is not disrupted by time or space.
yeah.
So energy healing, I work with people literally all over the world.
So, just can you kind of describe what that means?
Sure. So, it really depends on, my sessions are very individualized
Yeah,
depending on where you're at in your life and what you're wanting to work on. A lot of people come to me with health issues. And so, I work with and mental health and physical health.
okay,
So I've worked with people with, you know, borderline personality, severe depression, a lot of severe depression, a lot of anxiety, OCD. So, you know, and I'm not saying don't work with other
right,
practitioners, but
right,
if you have tried the meds and you've tried the traditional approaches and they haven't done what you were wanting them to do, A lot of people, again, come to me because they're not finding what they need in the, you know, um, traditional arena. So we work over Zoom or over the phone, whatever works best. And it's uh, we spend time talking, and I give homework. I'll offer practices for you to work on, and then I offer perspective. This is what I'm seeing in your energy field. I, you know, I was raised a Catholic, but I do not, you know, function under the Catholic belief system. I, believe in past lives. I believe in reincarnation. So I actually do a lot of ancestral healing and a lot of past life work. Here's a past life trauma. We're going to work on clearing that from your energy
Ooh,
field.
I want to do that with you. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
done that with
fascinating.
you.
I do hypnosis. I do past life regression
Mm.
hypnosis too. If you want to experience a past life, that has to be done in person.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh,
but ancestral, I can see past lives just through, the energy field.
right.
And you do not need to be sitting next to me. I see it all in my mind's eye. So you can be in Australia or you can be in
Okay.
Kansas. It really does not.
I'm booking another session with you.
Fantastic. Let's
But I could
go.
also tell you guys, um, when I knocked on Katie's door that first day, it was, whoo, my my energy was dark. It was really dark, and um, it resonated for me because I did have homework, um, and it was perspectives that I hadn't really heard before. So um, it opened a lot of my curiosity um, to want to know more about it, as well as to know more about myself. Um, and so I saw you pretty regularly
For a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
for a while. So
So things smoothed out. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Mm.
coming back though. I want a past
Let's do
life.
some past life work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a huge piece of my journey. Katie has been, and so I encourage you guys to um, find your Katie, and I will put all of her information in the comments of this podcast, and definitely feel free to reach out and ask questions, and um, I can definitely connect you. Um, it was it was huge for me, and
Yeah. And people can
yeah.
message me if they have questions on Instagram or Facebook or
And is everything
Mhm.
under guided spirit?
Actually on Facebook, just go under Katie Fortin Van Ommeren.
Okay,
I haven't taken the time to really
change that. Okay.
switch the personal to the professional, but I don't know. It kind of all blurs together for me.
Well, I could put that
So,
on there too.
okay.
So I'll put all of
I
Katie's
think on
info on
Instagram
there.
I am guided spirit.
Yeah, I think so
So,
too. Okay.
but
And your website's guided.
my website, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
is guided spirit, your guided
Spirit.
spirit.
Yep.
Yeah. And so guided spirit just means that, um, it's really about accessing the um, highest consciousness that is available to us, and that we are all guided. And it doesn't matter your belief system. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic. You might feel guided by, Jesus or Mother Mary,
Right.
or if you're Buddhist, you might feel guided by your ancestors. But it's just an acknowledgement of, there is a creative force and a, ultimate power and intelligence that of creation that we are all a part of and that we all can access. And it's how really a journey
Yeah.
of how do we access, and the, wisdom and the guidance that it's, and how do we differentiate between our own, limited thinking
Right.
versus truly inspired consciousness. And so that's what guided spirit is,
I love
comes from.
that. I love that. And I know I can do this video today because of
Yeah.
meeting you, and I'm grateful for that, and grateful for how you helped me.
Thank you.
And I know it's a much more grounded and peaceful and heart chakra energy,
Mhm.
and I'm almost a little teary eyed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I think that, what drives me and what encourages me is that I just keep discovering that we're really all meant to live from a space of feeling deeply loved,
yeah,
and um, that our life is meaningful, and that we are here and we matter, and that we're meant to be an expression of God's miracles
yeah,
in the physical. And so it's just figuring out how that's going to show up.
yeah,
And it might be through our work, but it could also just be by being at peace,
yeah,
because peace is such, especially, boy, wow, in this day and age, being really, you know finding peace
yeah.
is
Hard.
is very challenging. So
Yeah,
if you do embody that and you do experience that, and you can just bring that to wherever you are, that is a blessing too. So
yeah.
thank you for having me, and
Well,
for sharing this time, and for
yeah,
reaching out to people, and
yeah,
sharing so, you know, openly your own journey, and all of, it's hard to talk about our shortcomings, and, where we've had to eat humble pie. And
had a
I've,
lot of
I've
pie.
had a lot of pie. I've been eating pie for like 30
Woo!
years.
Me
Yeah.
too.
That's, I take that from my teacher,
Yeah.
the kahuna I worked with.
Oh,
She always talked about
humble pie.
eating humble pie. So I've
Oh.
been eating a lot of humble pie for a long time.
Well, I'm blessed to have met you,
Thank you.
and I'm grateful.
Oh, thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that. Yes.
Okay.
Well, and thank you to
Yeah.
those watching, and
Yeah, we're
we wish
grateful.
you the best in
Yeah.
your journey.
Reach out.
Yeah.
We would love to trigger our truths together.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Bye.